I want to make sure that you have a little bit of an idea around how we grade and therefore how we're talking about what your kids are learning with them and with you. So when we wrote this charter and founded this school that's really different from other schools, we thought for a long time about how we can make sure that every kid is getting what they need when they need it. And we realized very quickly that traditional grading systems are actually in the way of kids getting what they need. They're meant for sorting kids. They're not meant necessarily for teaching kids. So I'm going to talk about that first. So competency-based learning, basically what it does is it allows our students to move on to new topics, new skills at their own pace, regardless of their age, regardless of what class they're in, regardless of their environment. I'm going to talk for a little bit about what competency-based education is not, because I think what it is not is basically all of the things that we're used to in grades. So it's not time-based. Usually you have a certain amount of time to learn a certain topic, and at a large scale, that is like a grade level, right? You have a certain amount of time to learn everything that somebody decided is fourth grade. And you have that 9 months to learn fourth grade things. And if you didn't, hopefully you scored well enough on your average of grades to move on. But if you did, great. That's what time-based learning is. In high school, it's a little bit different, right? You have a semester course and you have a semester to learn everything that there is in this topic. And it's basically based on seat time. You sat in this chair, therefore you earned the credit. Our school doesn't work that way. It's also not an average of grades. So typical grading, and this is what all of you are used to right now, so I'm going to slow down for a minute. Typical grading, you do a bunch of assignments and you get a percent. And then all of those percents are averaged together, and that's your grade. But students can really hide in those averages, and they can also be penalized for those averages. So I'm going to go with the penalization example really quick to show really what the problem is with a situation like that. And I'm going to use a topic that's not actually, I'm going to use a non-specific topic actually. Let's just say we have a student, his name is Johnny. Johnny learned a new skill. It doesn't matter what the skill is, it is a skill. And Johnny is having a hard time. Johnny, on the first assignment, had such a hard time because it was the first time that the teacher introduced it. Johnny scored 25 out of 100. That's failing. Had a hard time. Next day, we're developing that topic. The teacher is teaching a little more. Johnny does another worksheet, scores 50 out of 100. Okay, Johnny's doing better. Okay, and day 3, Johnny's a little stuck. Johnny scores 50 out of 100 one more time. Johnny's still learning this skill, but he's working hard at it. Day 4, right? It's Thursday, that day of the week. We're spending 1 week learning this topic. Johnny gets it. Something clicks for Johnny. Johnny sits down with the teacher, or Johnny has a discussion with a classmate. Something happens, and now Johnny gets it. Johnny scores 100. Day 5, where we've got a test on this, or we've done a writing assignment. We're showing what we know for the week. Johnny once again scores 100 on this skill. He's now scored 100 twice. If we average those 5 days together, we have a 25, we have 2 50s, and we have 2 100s. If you average all of that together, it does not show what I think most of us would agree to be true, that Johnny has totally mastered this skill. Johnny knows how to do this. Should Johnny be punished because he took 3 days to learn it? Does it mean that Johnny like magically doesn't know how to do it because he took 3 days to learn it? No. But if we average those scores and we tell that to a teacher or to a parent or even to Johnny, right? 25 plus 50 is 75. 75 plus 50 is 125, right? And then 125 plus 100 is 225. 225 plus 100 is 325. That's 5 grades. And we divide that by 5 grades, right? His average is 65. That is a D. I don't know about you guys, but if my child comes home with a D, I'm going to assume they're really struggling. But is Johnny really struggling? Johnny might have learned a little bit slower than perhaps other kids, but I would argue that Johnny actually knows how to do this. He doesn't need intervention. He just took a little bit longer. He learned it towards the end of the week. So that's why we don't average grades at PIA. When kids show that they've mastered something and they have showed that consistently, we show at what level they've mastered. We do not average. Okay, I took a while on that, but I just wanted to make that point really clear. The other thing that we don't do is make it discipline specific. So there's a lot of math in science. There's a lot of writing in projects and reading in projects. And if a kid shows a math skill in science and they master it, they can score mastery in that. Same thing for literally any subject area. And the last thing is we're not super reliant on high state testing. Do our kids test? Absolutely. Do our kids take state testing? Yes, also, but I want to go back to time-based. Every kid should be learning what is relevant for them at that particular moment. And a lot of those tests are really geared towards one specific grade level and are you doing what is typical? And I think all of us can agree that there are probably not a lot of kids that are exactly typical at everything. We want to make sure we're meeting every kid's needs at all times. Okay, so talk about how we do things here. Point 1, kids move on to a new skill once they've mastered. We move them to a new group. They might learn to a new topic, but kids move on to a new skill. They start focusing on something new. I'll be showing you the competencies in a second, but when kids look at competencies and when teachers look at competencies, which is basically how we grade kids, it should be clear what they should be able to do. We should be able to measure it. And kids should know, like, this is actually an important thing that I need to do, and I know exactly what I need to learn or do to move on to the next level. Okay? We also believe that this is a way to make assessment meaningful. Kids know what to do to move on, and also positive. It doesn't punish kids for either being fast learners or slow learners. This system allows us to move kids around and give support based on individual kids' needs instead of sorting kids based solely on their age. And it also focuses on making sure that our competencies and our projects, and therefore the things that kids are doing all day long at school, are important. That kids know why they're learning things and why it's relevant to them in their lives. One last important point is that mastery can be shown in a multitude of different ways, and I probably didn't capture them in these 5 bullet points. Basically, you can show mastery in projects for any subject area. You can show mastery, I've already said this, across multiple subject areas. You can master reading during math during science. Anything is possible. Kids don't have to show mastery in the exact same way. Some kids might be really great at showing mastery via writing. Some kids might have to really talk through something if it's applicable. Kids can also show mastery via tests. We don't want to rule that out. Some kids are more comfortable showing mastery during tests. Presentations. There's a million ways to show that you know how to do something, and we don't want to limit them. So there's multiple ways and multiple chances. So I'm going to show you an example of this. This is part of our competencies for English language arts. One of the things that all kids need to learn how to do is write arguments. Okay, and this is a tiny, tiny little snippet of one of our competencies that focuses on how to introduce a claim. You'll notice here, level 2, and at the top says level 3 and 4. You'll notice those are listed as levels. Those are pretty equivalent to grade levels. So if a student is level 2 and they have completed what level 2 says that they need to do for level 2, that means they have completed something that is at roughly 2nd grade level, and they are working on something that is at roughly 3rd grade level. So here's a little bit about how this works. Level 2, if you're writing and introducing a claim, writing an argument, for level 2, we expect that kids can write a topic sentence that clearly introduces their opinion. You can see that it's written so that kids can understand it, or at least it's easy to be explained by teachers to both students and parents. If you have mastered introducing a claim at basically a 2nd grade level, that's what we expect you to do. Then we ask for kids to look at level 3. Level 3 includes everything in level 2. In order to do level 3, you have to also be able to do level 2. Level 3 says, I can write a topic sentence that introduces my opinion. And then you can see in bold, to master 3rd grade level, they have to also create an organizational structure that lists the reasons for their opinion. So now if we're going to master 3rd grade and be ready for 4th grade, we are able to not only say what we think, but in an organized way, say why. Level 4. Okay, if we have already mastered level 3, and we're working on mastering level 4, we can clearly see now here what we need to do differently. What do we need to do next? It's very action-based. I need to do everything that is in level 3, right? Write a topic sentence that says my opinion, create a structure that lists reasons, but now we need to be able to group related ideas to support the purpose for my writing. So somebody who has mastered level 4 can do all of these things. They build on each other, and it makes it really clear how we move to the next level. We have extensive competencies for all subject areas, and this is how we determine what we need to teach our kids next, what groups they should be in, and basically the grades that you will see in their dashboards. Because these competencies are probably hundreds of pages long, we don't hand parents a booklet with all of the competencies. But with that said, if you're really interested in seeing competencies and understanding why your student is at a particular level and what they might be missing at the next level, please feel free to reach out to us in any way. Your child's advisor, your child's teacher in that subject area, even just reach out to me, and we'd be happy to provide the competencies for the area that you're interested in, or even just provide all of our competencies. They're not a secret, and it can give you a clear idea of the order in which we teach things, what we expect kids to learn first, second, third, and basically how we're grading. Lastly, when you look at your kids' grades, we do record what their lowest competency level was at one point, just so that you can see how much they have grown. But I want to reiterate that it is not averaged. If your child was at level 2, then level 3, then level 4, then level 5, we don't average them together and say, oh, well, they were at level 2 for this long, so their level is lower. Once a child has shown mastery at a certain level, then that's their mastery level. You may see some other mastery levels in our system from previous work, but that just means that that is how they have grown. Okay, I hope that this video has been helpful to you in understanding how we grade at Phoenix International,